Welcome back to the Sideline Live podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 64, I am delighted to be joined by Irish 400 metre runner and Olympic finalist Sophie Becker. In this episode we discuss being a late bloomer, the importance of enjoying your sport, finding a coach, the benefits of sports psychology, the Tokyo Olympics and so much more. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi Sophie, thanks a million for joining me on the podcast.
Hi Orla, thank you so much for having me.
Before we get into everything, would you mind giving a slight elevator pitch to the listeners who don't know who you
are? My name is Sophie Becker. I'm a 400 metre athlete. I competed at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics there in the mixed 4x4 relay. We came 8th. And I just finished college there in May and now I'm being a full-time adulting, yeah.
Very good. You're an Olympic finalist. I doubt that gets old.
No, it doesn't. No, definitely not. It's crazy. I think it's only kind of since I've come home and come back to normal life over the last few months that I've really gotten a chance to like appreciate it and like just actually look back on the achievement and what I did. Because like when we were over there, like it's crazy. Like you don't really have time to think. So no, definitely doesn't get old. I don't tire from being called that.
Where did that dream kind of start for you? At what age were you as well?
So my introduction to athletics is probably not like your normal one. Like I had really bad asthma as a kid. So one of my friends, her dad was like the local athletics coach, and he was like, "Oh, if you start running like that, might train your lungs kind of to breathe and like just teach you how to breathe better and everything." So yeah, I was about I think 8. So I just went along and I actually really enjoyed it and I discovered I was actually fast. So that's actually how I got into it. And like along that I was doing, your usual Gaelic football, camogie, tennis, like everything under the sun. And I think it was about 15 or 16 when I kind of decided athletics was what I really enjoyed the most. And like I played the other sports, but I was no good at them. Like I think the only part that I was good at was like getting the ball and running for like the 3 steps, and then I wasn't able to solo or anything. So like I was only fast. So yeah, I was about 16 when I decided that I just wanted to do running.
Yeah, that's really interesting about the asthma. I heard you speak about it before. I actually have asthma as well, and it's interesting how sport can help you control it. Do you still have to manage the asthma at all, or is it under control at the moment?
Yeah, no, like it's nowhere near as bad as it is. Like I take a blue inhaler before any sort of exercise, and that does me then. Like I still go to the doctors and like get it checked in, and like it's just something I'm gonna have to do like for the rest of my life, I think. But like it's nowhere near as bad as what it was. It's very much under control.
Okay, very good. You were kind of spoke before, you were a little bit maybe of a late bloomer. You were 21 with your first cap for Ireland.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't get to go to any of like the junior competitions or anything like that. So yeah, I got my first cap for European under 23s back in 2017. So yeah, I would have been 21. Like I loved running growing up, and like I'd go to like the Leinsters and counties and stuff like that, but like I never placed anywhere. If I came second last instead of last, like I was delighted. I just really enjoyed it. And I suppose like over time I just slowly noticed that instead of coming like last, I was coming second last year. I was like just slowly moving up through the ranks, and then eventually I made like my first final, and then I think I was like possibly like 18 when I won my first like All-Ireland medal. So yeah, no, I was definitely a late bloomer compared to others, but I don't know, I think it gave me the chance to kind of really come into my own in the sport, and like I'm happy that like the competitions that I did get to do were like, the big ones. Like I got to go to European under 23s, European seniors, indoors, outdoors. So I think it paid off in the end.
Did you ever get discouraged at that point when you were growing up, where not going to represent Ireland, but even like coming maybe not first in a race? Was it frustrating for you at that point?
I don't remember ever being like disappointed or like saddened with my like placing. I think at the time I just like got into it for fun. I never really envisioned myself like, I don't know, representing Ireland at a young age. I just like kept doing it for fun. And then I suppose, eventually maybe around like 18, 19, that's when I actually do remember being, I think it was about 18, and they picked like a junior 4x1 for, I think it was European European juniors, and I was really close to like being picked as a sub for the team, and I didn't get picked. I think that's like my first memory of being like proper disappointed, and maybe that's the point then when I was like, I actually do want to do this. Like I do really enjoy running, and I'd love to run for Ireland, but no, I don't really remember being younger and like being discouraged.
Okay, so if I was to travel back in time and meet 8-year-old Sophie with asthma and only took up running to say you're going to be an Olympic finalist, what would she say to me?
She probably didn't even know what the Olympics was back then. To be honest. Oh no, I think she'd be, well, shocked. Like I still am shocked that the whole thing happened, that I got to go, that I'm an Olympian.
Yeah.
And I think excited for like the journey that's ahead for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that your ability is down to more of a natural talent or work ethic, or a bit of both? What is it for you?
A bit of both, definitely. Like I think I naturally have speed, but I also need to work on having that speed. Like I think, I know personally, I think talent will only get you so far. Like there does come a point maybe around, I think when you like finish school and start college, that's like the point where talent does kind of start to go decrease a bit, and you do need to start working hard. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of school, a lot of younger listeners kind of around the secondary school, maybe college age. Talk us through a little bit of your path with the Leaving Cert, just to kind of help kids. I don't think we speak about it enough, and it's quite. I found it very hard to navigate. Never mind anyone else, but how did you navigate, and how did you get to DCU?
Yeah, so I came to DCU in 2016. I studied genetics and cell biology in DCU, and I finished in May just gone. So DCU gave me the opportunity to, as I was on scholarship, I got to split my final year over 2 years. So I should have finished in 2020, but instead I finished in 2021, just because 2021 was going to be a big year with the Olympics and final year. So I just wasn't going to be able to manage the both of them. So yeah, like I suppose I did some science subjects for my Leaving Cert. I always kind of had an interest in science, and I went up to higher options. I think, I don't know if that's still happening, but I went up to higher options, and I remember meeting Enda. He was like the DC athletics coach at the time, and I was chatting to him, and just like he really sold like the whole athletics program to me in DCU. And then I went up and visited one of my friends up there in DCU, and I just really liked the college, like the setup and everything. So I kind of was held like dead set on going to DCU then. So yeah, luckily I got the points, and I got my course for genetics and cell biology. And yeah, like I really enjoyed my time in DCU. I think like it's important to, like, if you are hoping to continue the sport, like make sure that there is a good athletics club set up there, you know, like, because I think most colleges across Ireland do have a very well established athletics club. Like just even the practicalities, like initially I was looking at UCD, but they didn't have a track around there at the time. Okay. Or I think you'd have to go to Tala, and then I wanted to train with Jeremy, so that just wasn't going to work for me. I would have had to travel from south side to north side every day. So I think just look at like the practicalities like that. But I think the most important thing is like pick your course. Like I knew I wanted to study genetics and cell biology, and then the rest kind of fell into place after that. Okay,
very good. Did you live in the house in DC? I can't remember the number of it, but there's a specific athlete house.
House 14, yeah.
14, yeah.
House 14, yeah. No, I did. Like I'm from Wexford, so obviously I wasn't going to be commuting. I stayed in DCU, and yeah, being part of House 14 was like part of the DCU scholarship, and I think I'm not sure if it's still a thing in DCU now. I've heard that it's kind of been spread out over different houses and stuff, but when I was there, like I really benefited from House 14. Like literally basically nearly all my friends that I made from college, like we all lived together in House 14, and it's just nice being surrounded by like-minded people. And you know, like there still was definitely pre-drinks and house parties and stuff, but I suppose they were just a bit more considerate. Like if you had a race, they'd be a bit like, you know, they'd be a lot quieter and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Did you pick up anything off the other athletes? And I think it's it was a mix of different sports in the house. I don't know if that's changed, but was there anything you picked up maybe from living with other athletes, whether it was performance, sport, academics, time management, or anything really?
Yeah, so House 14 was just athletics, but like it was all different disciplines. Like I've lived with throwers, sprinters, middle distance runners. I really like food and cooking, so I think I looked a lot to, especially when I was in first year, like what my other housemates, like, because in house 14, like you live with like fourth years and second years, like everyone's together. So I think that's really good. Like, especially you do look to like the older ones for like guidance with like, nutrition and stuff like that. So I think, that's probably one of the main things I picked up.
How did you find trying to balance lectures, social commitments and training? I know the setup, I think, is in St. Clair's for the athletics side of things, but what is it like trying to balance everything in college when there's so many balls in the air that you have to try keep level?
It's tough, like I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. I'm finished college now and I'm working instead, so I'm still trying to balance everything. Time management definitely does have to come into consideration. Like, I know if any of my friends were speaking, they'd be like, she has no time management. I do. It's just like kind of an organized mess. There's something a rough plan in my head of like when I'm doing stuff and when I have to go training. So yeah. But I think, like, I don't know, if you're training in the evening, just try get all your lectures and work and stuff done beforehand, because I know myself, when I got home from training, I just want to eat, drink a cup of tea and go to bed. Like, I just can't think about sitting down and studying. So I think just have a rough plan of what you're doing.
You spoke on another podcast recently about motivation, and you kind of said about you kind of use inspiration and looking at other people to motivate you. Can you explain that one a little bit?
Yeah, I suppose, like, growing up, I read Jessica Ennis's book back to front, I'd say about 10 times. Like, I think that was actually one of the first things that really motivated me, like her book. And it just really inspires me seeing how people can progress. And like, a lot of people's stories start out the same as like myself or you or like anybody. And I suppose it's just like looking at what tools they use and like, I don't know, just like their mindset and just little things like that makes like the difference. And that really motivated me, that like, I'm here with a lot of the same resources as a lot of other athletes across the country. And I kind of, I grab inspiration from that, just wanting to work hard and just do what everybody else is doing.
You work with Jessie Barr in the Sport Institute. Can you describe the benefit of working with a sports psychologist, particularly Jessie with her athletics background?
Yeah, I think people are probably sick of me talking about my sports psychology at this stage. It comes up all the time, but I love it. Like, I started working with Jessie about 2 years ago now, I think, and the difference has just been phenomenal. Like, I think there is still a bit of a stigma or something about like working with a sports psychologist, and I don't know, just kind of the air that I get, but like I nearly see it as like an elite thing. Like, it's great to be given the chance to work with a sports psychologist. Like, I think it shows that, you have, like, that you have more to give, and like you see that the brain and the mind is like where a lot of that the differences can be made. So yeah, I really like it. I actually have a meeting with her this afternoon.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
That wasn't the one we had to move, was it?
No, that's
okay, good.
Yeah.
I would have been apologizing
for like meetings and everything like that, so no, don't worry. No, so like I suppose like most athletes, I think, like, trying to manage the pre-race nerves and not let them get the better of you is something that we've worked on a lot, and we've done a lot of race visualization. And I think because Jessie, like, she's very specific, like she was a 400 meter hurdler, I'm a 400 meter runner, she went to the Olympics. I think I just relate so much to what she says. And like, obviously I haven't worked with any other sports psychologists, but like, just when she's talking about like a session or like pre-race nerves or something, I know that she knows exactly how I feel because she experienced that as well. So no, I really, really benefit from, and I think everybody should give it a shot at some point in their lives.
Wait, before you started working with her, what were the things that maybe were holding you back a little bit in that area?
Yeah, so pre-race nerves, really, I suppose, like I still would feel like, sick before a race and stuff, but I think it's more so like using the nerves and seeing them as like good rather than bad, and like seeing the race as a challenge rather than something bad that's going to happen, because like the end of a 400 is just, the pain is just unbearable. And like, I've spoken to a lot of 400 meter athletes, and that's something that they dread so much, is just the pain in like the last 50 meters. Like, so I suppose just talking to her about that, and like what else, the nerves, and different stages in the race, like I try to think about something else and focus on something different just to kind of keep me focused during the race. Yeah.
Okay, because that was actually a question I was going to ask you. When you're in a race and when you're going through the different stages, what is your thought process during it?
I think, do you know what? I think a lot of my brain is like empty for it, like literally. So I think when I start kind of being switched on in my head is probably in like the last 150, but it's more so like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. This hurts. So I'm kind of trying to be like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, but we're nearly there, like keep pushing sort of a thing. So yeah, I'd say
Okay.
like once the gun goes, my mind just goes empty. Like it's weird. I don't hear anything apart from my mom. My mom is the only person I ever hear for shouting for me. Like everything
Wow.
is silent. Yeah, it's weird. And then yeah, so just yeah, the last 150, I'm just trying to kind of change what we're thinking about around then.
Okay, that's really interesting. Do you remember a race afterwards? I was either recording with someone or I listened to someone. They were like, I don't remember a thing. I nearly black out during a race.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I literally, that's kind of like an out of body experience. Like it's only when I look back at the race, I'm like, oh, right, that's what I did then. Like, it's weird. Yeah, you kind of do black out. That's a
Okay.
good comparison for it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I want to quickly talk about the world relays. You won the silver medal. You were the anchor for that race. And speaking of kind of that thought process, the Polish girl was in front of you, and I think Dominican Republic were behind you. When you're going through that last straight, are you thinking of the girl that's ahead and the girl that's behind, or are you just saying to yourself, keep going, keep pushing?
For that race, I think I was like, I could see the Polish girl in front of me. So I was focused on her. I didn't actually know who was behind me. So yeah, I was focused on the Polish girl and I was just like, keep going, because I thought she was like coming closer to me. But the finish line just got there a little bit too fast. But yeah, no, it's just kind of keep going because it's 200 meters as well. Like you're not going to hit lactic in that, so you just really try to keep going, keep getting faster and just try catch the person ahead.
What's it like being the anchor for that and watching the girls come around and being like, it's not my turn yet. Oh my God, they're coming closer. Here we go.
I know, I actually feel nervous even thinking about it, like the girls. So yeah, I was with Kate Doherty, Sarah Quinn and Aoife Lynch, and the girls ran a stormer of a leg. Like we were so shocked, like we couldn't believe it. So then the girls had ran so well, I was like, oh my gosh, just don't mess it up, Sophie. Like we are in medal contention here, just don't mess it up and we'll be placing. So yeah, I definitely did feel a bit of pressure because the girls had ran so well, but thankfully it all worked out.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say don't mess up. I was talking to a Gaelic football player recently and she was saying when she takes a free, it's don't miss. And it's all about that self-talk. And it's interesting how people are like, oh, be positive in your self-talk. But maybe sometimes a negative part of self-talk might not be the most beneficial thing, but it might be the kick up the ass you kind of need.
Yeah, like that's very interesting. You'd be a very good sports psychologist. That's kind of stuff that Jessie would say to me. Change your career, maybe. Because one of the things, like, just going back to the sports psychology thing, like, I'd say I'd have a horrible session ahead, and I know it's gonna hurt on like the last rep. Instead of like Jessie being like, "Oh, it's not gonna hurt. Tell yourself it's not gonna hurt." She's like, "No, tell yourself this will hurt, like it is going to hurt, but
Yeah.
it will be worth it." So like I think kind of yeah, just being realistic kind of with yourself, and also yeah, kind of just telling yourself don't mess up, and like you won't mess up.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask, when you get to the level that you're running at, is it more mental or physical being an athlete and running a race? What is it for you?
I think 50-50. Like I could be so mentally like positive and everything, but you have to be real. Like if you haven't done the work, if you haven't done the training, if you're not fit, you're not going to run a good race. And then likewise could be really fit, but if I'm saying, oh, I'm so slow, I'm not going to run well, it's not going to go well. So I think it is 50-50. Yeah.
Can you describe the mentality it takes to be an Olympian, particularly for any of the younger listeners that have, aspire to go to the Olympics? Is there any sort of like, a checklist is the wrong word, but can you just describe what it actually takes to get to that level?
I think honestly, I know it's so cliche, but you have to enjoy it. Like athletics in Ireland, you're not going to be making a heap of money from it. So there's no point in getting into it being like, oh, I'm going to be like a rugby player or a soccer player with it. Like you're not. So you really have to enjoy it. Like that's definitely number one. And I think, yeah, that is why maybe I wasn't too concerned about not making Irish teams growing up, because I really did enjoy it. Secondly, like the people, I think you need people around you to train and motivate you. Like I love training, but I also love going and like seeing my training partners joking around. Like there's some of my best friends. We see each other like 5-6 times a week. Like you're gonna get on with them. You're gonna like, they're gonna be like brothers and sisters at the end of the day. So I think definitely have a good group around you and really enjoy it. And then yeah, like you need some self-confidence, because athletics, like we've said, it's an individual sport. If you don't believe in yourself, like you might as well stop, but like you really need to like check yourself. You really need to believe in yourself, and then like, you know, everybody else will believe in you as well. So I think they're kind of the three main things. And then like I suppose, yeah, like your coach, you need to have a good relationship with your coach. Like I've been with Jeremy Lyons since I came up to Dublin in 2016, and since then we've added 2 more coaches, Aideen and Jared, to it, and like they all understand me really well. I understand them really well. So I think if you had a good relationship with your coach as well, that makes a big difference.
How did you find your coaches, and what advice would you give to people that are looking for a coach, and what should they really look for when they're looking for somebody to guide them and to coach them?
Yeah, so I found Jeremy through one of my friends from home. He was up in DCU a few years before me, and he was into athletics, and he was with Jeremy. So it was kind of like a rite of passage nearly that I was going to go with Jeremy, so I didn't have to do that much hunting. But it can be definitely overwhelming. Like if that wasn't there, I honestly don't know where I would have gone. Like there is a good few coaches and groups around Dublin, but for me personally, like I need a coach who, like, I am not someone who's obsessed with athletics like 24/7, you know, like I'm working, I love to go see my friends, I like just going on walks and hikes. Like I can't be obsessed. It works for some people, but for me, I need a coach who understands that and is going to be like relaxed about like me going for drinks or something like that. So which my coaches definitely are. So I think that's really important. And yeah, a coach who's like willing to adapt, like very adaptable. Like there's been a lot of tough situations with like injury and like teams and everything over the last few years, and my coaches just have been so adaptable to it. And like when I see that they're not panicking, I don't panic. So I think that's a really important characteristic.
With your training, do you focus more on your strengths or your weaknesses?
Oh, that is a good question. So I would say my strengths are my speed, and my weaknesses are probably like the longer reps and stuff. So probably the winter is the time that we focus more on like the weaknesses, I'll say. Okay. Like that's when the longer reps are done, and then the summer is when it's kind of a lot of speed stuff. So yeah, I would say 50-50, but I think as time goes on, the weaknesses do get less. Yeah,
that's fair. How do you balance? I think athletics is a really interesting sport, because you're trying to push yourself to the very like pinnacle without going too far, because you'll injure yourself. How do you try balance that, because it's such a fine line between getting to the top versus getting an injury?
Yeah, no, like my coaches call that like the red zone, because you're in the shape of your life, but also if you push it that 1% too more, you're going to injure yourself, you're going to be sick. Like it's such a fine line. A lot of that is left to my coaches. Like they know the sessions that I need to do at that time. They know the sessions that will push me over the edge and the ones that just won't be enough. And then it's kind of up to me to make sure that I'm recovering, that I'm sleeping, that I'm eating right. And yeah, no, it's definitely tough to get the balance right, but it you do get it. Like it seems impossible, but then like most people when they run a race, like they are around that red zone, I think.
Brilliant. I just want to talk about Tokyo for a little bit. Just Tokyo, just the Olympics, just the Olympic final. You weren't part of the World Championships when they qualified, but what was it like being selected for that team and travelling over to Tokyo?
Oh, it was like, I can't even find like one word for it, because there were so many emotions. Like I was absolutely delighted. I was so excited. I was relieved. Like there was just like there's a lot of pressure for like every athlete who was on that flight, like the months and weeks leading up to it, like, and then the added pressure of COVID, like the fear that you're going to get COVID beforehand. So I think yeah, it was just a brilliant experience. And my training partner Killian, he was on the relay as well, so it was a really nice experience to share together. And I think it made it even more special for like our coaches as well, like the fact they didn't get just one, they got two athletes over there.
That's really cool. There was a really nice picture, I think, of you and a couple of girls, Nadia, Sarah Lavin, with all your nails done. What was it like travelling over with, were you part, who travelled actually with you? Was it just the athletics part, or was there other athletes in other sports as well?
So for us, it was just the athletics, but it wasn't even all the athletics. We were kind of staggered out.
Okay.
So depending on when you're going to be competing, you all kind of went together. So yeah, myself, Nadia, and Sarah Lavin, we love getting the nails done before competition. So obviously there was big pressure for Tokyo, but I love that picture. Yeah, of all of us with our nails. And even when I think back to that, like we're all just so excited and giddy and everything going off. It was so fun.
Yeah.
But like yeah, so that was just athletics. But then when we got to the holding camp, that's where there was like loads of different sports. It was really nice, like because I don't know, sport in Ireland, it's kind of hard, I find anyway, to like get to know other elite athletes and stuff. So that was like the first chance like to really get to know other athletes. Like remember we were sitting at the pool in the holding camp and the rowers were there and they were great crack, and like the boxers were around. Like it was just a really fun experience.
That's really cool. Was your holding camp that had, because you weren't, obviously nobody was really at the Olympic Stadium, did you see your own Olympic parade in the hotel, was it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did. I actually didn't know about it. I was inside eating dinner and then I walked out and saw all the pictures and stuff. So, but I'm going to claim that I took part in it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Talk us through the journey to the final. Even, being in the holding camp, as you said, there must have been so much nearly anxiety about catching COVID, because talk about timing. If you caught it just before the race, not only would you have missed it, let's say if you came back, like there's lasting effects from it as well. So there probably was like an underlying kind of worry there with everybody across all of the countries and all of the sports.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Like it's just an added anxiety to the whole thing. But I have to say, like Team Ireland, we were definitely one of the most cautious teams over there. Like we kind of had a scare at a championship a few months prior where there was an outbreak and stuff. So I think that kind of really, everybody was very alert and everything, because there were other teams that weren't quite as strict about the whole thing. But like, so we had to wear the FFP masks the whole time, and most of us were like vaccinated, and we got a COVID test every single day in the holding camp. And yeah, like we were kind of like, even dinner we had to eat with like the dividers and stuff, which was kind of bad, but like thankfully there was no COVID in the camp at all. And we, like when we were in the holding camp, it was a lot more like the whole environment itself was more relaxed. Like we actually stayed at, it was a resort, it was like in the country. It was beautiful, it was really relaxing. And we've been warned, like this is good, like when you get to the village, that's when like everything gets real, like the intensity just increases. And like they were right, it just, once we got to the village, like we were at the Olympics, like you could tell just it's like the environment just changed, like the whole sense, the feeling just changed, like, and that's when you kind of saw as well that some countries weren't being quite as careful with COVID as we were, but thankfully, yeah, no one got it.
And in terms of that intensity, was that just because, you were in the Olympic Village? One, that's going to be an intense environment, but was it just because there was such a, like people were, like obviously I think I saw videos of the dining hall, and again, the dividers were up. Was it very kind of like, how was that environment? Why was it so tense?
Yeah, I think it's because when you go to the village, you're competing within the next like 3-4 days. Like we got there, I think 3 days beforehand. So you're really just settling in. Like we went to the warm-up track, we did another baton practice, and then that was it. We rested for the next day, and then it was showtime. So you just know like it's getting close, and like there's people around who have already competed. There's people waltzing around with medals. There's some people there that are like devastated. Like it's just a lot going on.
Yeah. Talk us through that showtime, that first race.
Oh my gosh. Did you like, I wish I didn't like get that blackout feeling because I wish I could remember everything. But I remember, so it was Killian Green, he ran first, Phil Healy was second, I was third, and then Chris O'Donnell was on the last leg. So I just remember we were walking out and like in the call room, I've been in so many call rooms before for different races, but that one's, it's intense. Like you have different teams are there like doing their pre-race stuff, like some of them are shouting, there's like slapping of legs, like there's so much going on, like it's crazy. It's nearly like, I don't know, like you're holding wild animals in a cage or something, like it's mental. But yeah, we walked out and I just remember like just turned, because I was just so scared to like watch the first 100 meters when it started, so I turned around and saw Killian coming up in like second place or something up the home straight. I was like, we're going to be okay, this is good. And then Phil went off, then it was my turn, I got the baton, I just was like running for my life, like literally. But like the adrenaline, like I'll never forget that feeling of adrenaline. Like it was just, oh my God, it was, if you could bottle that and use it the whole time, it was brilliant. And then yeah, Chris got it on the last leg, he ran an absolute stormer. And then I think like the picture circled everywhere of all of us like on the steps and realizing that we had, number one, ran like a national record. We took 4 seconds off the previous national record, and we'd gotten into an Olympic final. Like I actually have goosebumps now thinking about it. Like it was just a crazy experience. Like definitely just the best like hour of my life. Definitely.
I love that picture because it's like the different stages of realizing. Phil is there smiling, probably like, we've made the Olympic final. You kind of have your mouth open, like kind of in shock. Chris is kind of just standing there, I think, and then Killian's fixing his hair. So it's like the different stages of realizing. I thought it was brilliant.
That picture, Killian hates that picture because number one, he's not like looking at it, but he ran an incredible time for the first leg. He was dying. Like we went, because we had to go to media afterwards. He was trying not to get sick.
I remember everybody at the media.
Yeah, we were about to go to media being like, does anybody have a bag for him? He's about to throw up. Like he was not enjoying that for the first few minutes.
Jesus. Oh yeah. God. So when you make it to the Olympic final, the pinnacle, can you give us like nearly a step by step of, you get after the media, when it probably, like, when does it actually set in for you? When do you realize that we've made it?
Oh, I think when we went on our phones, like
okay,
we were on the boat, we had to go through media, and like the rest of some of the team were there to watch and stuff. And after we'd seen them, we like got our phones back and we were sitting on the buses, and I think we were all just kind of like, oh my God, like this is crazy, like the amount of Twitter notifications and Instagram notifications, and like, oh, just everybody at home was just so supportive. Like when we went onto Twitter and just saw like the outpouring of congratulations, it was just crazy. Like I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
Can you take us through like the step by step of preparing for that? So what's next after the semi-final? How do you try to stay focused? Do you even like, do you acknowledge that it's a final, or do you kind of leave it as it's another race?
No, we acknowledged it was a final. Like there's not many athletes, definitely not many Irish athletes who have ran in an Olympic semi-final. So no, we definitely acknowledged it was an Olympic final. So we got on the bus, went back to the village. We all got some food in the dining hall, and we're all just kind of like starstruck. Like we're all tired, but also like buzzing with still like the adrenaline, and like everyone's down so much coffee and Red Bull beforehand. Like, and I remember we were all still sitting there scrolling at like 12:30, and one of the team officials came over. He was like, guys, you have an Olympic final tomorrow, come on, go to bed. And we're all like, oh my God, yeah, we do. So we went back to the apartments, and like I was rooming with Phil, so the two of us, I think we were just like lying there for ages, just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But eventually we all managed to sleep, and like thankfully we weren't running until I think 8 p.m. the next day anyway, so we took it very slow the next day. But yeah, I suppose like, you wake up, shower, you have your food, and soon enough it's time to go back to the track and do it all again. Yeah.
What's your pre-race routine usually? What do you do?
Yeah, so I try not to be too strict about it. I'm not like superstitious or anything because you just don't know if stuff is going to go wrong. So I always like have my hair done, my makeup done, look good, feel good, race good, that whole thing.
Brilliant.
And yeah, like have my bag packed usually the night before if I'm running in the morning. And yeah, we'll head to the track. I like to get to the track like, you know, maybe like half an hour before I need to start warm up or anything and just sit there, scroll on my phone, listen to music, just really get into the zone and just a bit of chill time. And yeah, then like I'll start doing like my rollouts and my slower kind of stuff. And yeah, then the relay coach Drew, he would like take us all just for like a little chat, just to talk us through like our roll in our legs and stuff. And yeah, then it was race time soon enough after that.
What's on your music playlist? Is it what's kind of what do you listen to before a race?
Oh, I listen to like the most random stuff. Like I really like upbeat like stuff, you know, like Avicii kind of like
Yeah.
house music. I like tropical house, like that sort of stuff, just real like upbeat stuff. Like that's just gonna be make you happy. Like I like songs you can sing along to as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you do any sort of pre-race breathing exercises? Is that I've only heard of that recently.
Yeah. So I that's something Jessie introduced like into my pre-race routine. She calls it box breathing, I think. So it's just like breathing, holding it for a few seconds, exhaling, hold it, breathing in again, exhaling, and kind of I think yeah, 4x4 times, if you get me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just really helps in kind of regulating your breath and just like giving you something to concentrate on. So yeah, that's something that I do.
And do you do that in the call room beforehand, or what would you do in there?
Yeah, it depends. Call room a lot of the time because I mean, there's not much else to do. Like, I'm not really one of those athletes who likes talking and is all chatty before a race. Like,
Okay.
so yeah, I'd usually be doing that, just kind of something to focus on and stop yourself from thinking about the race ahead.
When you're coming out, how do you find the TV cameras? I know it didn't come very close for the final; you're just waving. But what is that like with the TV cameras coming really close?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think even really we didn't really notice it that much. I do remember though, because for the final, like you know, they do the whole introduction in Team One Ireland and like you run out and stuff. So we were before and we were like, what do we do? Because like Team USA and all, they do all like the cool moves and we were like, we can't do that. So I think we just like waved. So we were like conscious about it in that regard. But other than that, I think yeah, just a little wave and like unless you're Alison Felix or like Carson Warholm, they're not going to be too much in your face, I think.
Yeah, that's good. When you're going around the track, I know you don't remember much, but when you finish it, when you realise, you know, we ran an Olympic final, what's that feeling like?
Oh yeah, I suppose just what I can't even. Again, it definitely took, I think, a while for it to set in. Like I think it was after when we were kind of packing up after we'd race and we were like packing up and putting our spikes on and stuff and we were walking back to the bus. I remember Killy and I were like walking back to the bus and we were like, wow, I can't believe we just did that. We were like, I'd love to do that again. Like just that feeling you'd love to do again. But yeah, I suppose we were just really proud. I think just really proud of like what we'd done as a team, like, you know, the first Irish relay team in an Olympic final, a new national record, and just like, I suppose, yeah, it's a stepping stone for so many teams ahead to come over the next few years.
How did you find being in a team environment and moving from not only are you worrying about maybe your performance, but you're worrying and you're focusing and trying to help 3 other people?
I really liked it. Like obviously we were all very nervous, but I think having 3 other people there, sorry, I should say like 5 other people.
Sorry, with the subs as well.
Yeah,
sorry,
subs as well, Kleena and Rob, to have 5 other people there who all felt the same way as you and like who felt the same amount of pressure as you. That was really nice. But it also adds to, it's like, okay, when I get the baton, don't drop this because there's 5 other people depending on me for this as well. Yeah. So like it evens out. But no, I think for like a first games experience, it was really nice to like be introduced to it through like a relay sense.
When you go through success and failure, what motivates you more? Is it that feeling of, oh my God, this is amazing, I want to do this again? Or is it that challenge and that setback that you go through?
I'm going to say both. I would have thought initially like, oh my God, I want to do this again. But like I had a setback once before, and it like after I ran my PB, like it definitely does motivate you. So I definitely do think both, like saying that I'm always thinking about like that feeling now after the Olympics and like how much I want to relive that again. So yeah, I definitely think both the positive and negative experiences will affect it.
What was the biggest learning that you took from going to the Olympics? Like, I was really interested in what Nadia Power said about her experience, but how did you find it? What do you kind of realise now after going through that whole thing?
I suppose that like it's possible, like it's achievable, and like everything that I've worked for is worth it. But also like I suppose afterwards it was kind of like that real, like, you know, there's months and months just leading up to this, and then it happens and you're kind of like, oh wow, that happened, kind of a now what thing. So like I think it's just important definitely to have other things that like you enjoy and other areas that you like putting your energy into, because although like that was an amazing experience and I would trade it for nothing, I think it did like make me realize as well that it is important to not have your whole life about athletics either, because like that was like, yeah, the pinnacle of our sport. And even still you felt a bit of a down afterwards. You were like, oh, okay, that's finished now, on to the next thing, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I've read about a lot of that, you know, all the Olympic athletes speak about. It's certainly like this process you go through and there's different stages. What would be your personal definition of success?
Oh, is there a dictionary anywhere? I think for me, I think success is just like being really proud of my performance and being happy and proud of my performance. I think that's a successful run or a successful championships for me. Yeah.
So it would be more of a feeling than an achievement for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's been runs before that or competitions before that I should have maybe made it into a final or like whatever, but I was really happy and content with my run. So I consider that like a successful championships then.
What's next for you? What's coming up? I know obviously everyone talks about the Olympics, but there's a number of other events that you're also targeting.
Yeah, so I suppose most recently we have like the indoor season is just about to start, and there's World Indoor Championships on in Serbia in March. So I'm targeting to run the 400 at that. And then after that, there's like the mixed 4x4 has already qualified for World Championships in Oregon in the summer. Like the people who are on the team, that's not decided until closer, but at least we know what team is going. So it's definitely my aim to be on that relay team. And then we also have European Championships in Munich in August. So I'd love to qualify individually there. And also it'd be great to have a women's 4x4 at that, because 400 meters for women in Ireland at the minute, it's crazy. Like we're so lucky to have such a talented group of girls. So I think it'd be great if we got a 4x4 to that championships.
Why do you think we're seeing so much talent and so much success in athletics recently? Is there a reason why, or is it just an accumulation of a lot of different factors?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like maybe it does come in waves. Like you kind of have a lull and then you have like just such a massive burst of talent. I think COVID kind of, obviously it was a terrible time for so many people, but I do think a benefit of it was like a lot of people got like an extra year, like myself included. If the Olympics had happened in 2020, and I think a lot of athletes would agree, like I wouldn't have been there. So the extra year kind of gave everybody an extra year to train, to get better, and everybody's kind of come together now and just like given all their performances at the same time.
Brilliant. Who would you like to see on the podcast? And if you do nominate someone, I'm going to ask you for your help. I'm going to and for you to help me get them on.
Oh, let me see. Sports wise, I think Phil Healy, she'd be a very good person to get on.
She would. I've actually messaged her a few times. She's so busy. So
I know.
Hopefully I'll get her.
Well, I'll try and see if I can send her a message too, and if she can be convinced. But no, I think she has a lot of wisdom to share. I think she'd be very good to get on.
Brilliant. I'm going to move on to sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions at the end of every episode. I just realised I didn't send you those 7 questions. I'm so sorry. I totally forgot.
It's okay. Just bear with my very slow responses. Maybe you can edit this out.
This would be a part of the editing. Question 1. What is your favourite quote?
My favourite quote. You didn't come this far. Wait, no, what is it? You didn't come this far to only come this far.
Okay.
I love that one.
Who said that?
I have no idea. I saw it probably on like Instagram or something, but it's just one. Like I have like a notes section on my phone where like I write down a heap of notes that I find like inspiring or something, but that's like the one that I always go back to and I actually remember. So yeah, I think that's a good one.
I actually do the exact same thing. I have a big thing in my notes on my phone. It's all just quotes, so don't worry, you're not the only one doing that. Question 2, probably I know the answer to this one, but what's been the best sporting event you've been to?
Yeah, the Olympics, I think it goes without saying, definitely.
Question 3, what's been the biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
Yeah, so at World Relays, I wasn't chosen to run on the mixed 4x4, which I took very tough. Like I was obviously very disappointed, but also extremely happy for the team that qualified and everything. So that was tough because I'd never really experienced that before. But I think I touched on it earlier, like it pushed me on, and I ran my PB a few weeks after that. So I just see it as something that was meant to happen, and this is the path that's followed afterwards. So yeah.
Very good. What's been your biggest achievement so far, on or off the track?
Apart from the Olympics, I finished my degree there in May, and I'm graduating, I think, next month. So I'm really proud of that. Like it was definitely a tough 5 years. The course was hard. It was hard balancing everything, but I'm really proud of myself for finishing it and having a degree now. You
were chosen to switch on the Christmas lights in your town. Where does that rank? What sort of achievement is that?
Number 2.
Brilliant. Looking back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Stick with it. Like, just stick with it. And I suppose I did stick with it, so I'm proud that I did do that. But I know there's a lot of young people, particularly young girls at the minute, that are dropping out of like sport and everything when they get to 18, because it is hard like to continue it with college, and a lot of people have to make a decision. But I think stick with it, because you really don't know. Again, like you didn't come this far to only come this far. Like if you keep pushing, you don't know how far you're going to get.
How do you find being a role model now? Has anyone kind of, when people come up to you and you're kind of like, is it a bit weird, or how do you find it?
That's so funny. I never would have thought of myself as a role model.
Okay, yeah.
But no, I suppose I am aware that I have people following me and looking at me for tips and everything, and like I do enjoy on Instagram. Like I get a lot of DMs. People are so nice, like just saying well done, or like younger girls asking me questions, and like I'd always say, fire away. I'm terrible for getting back. I do take a while to reply, but please like send me a message or come up to me. I'd be so happy to like help someone out or whatever. No, I do like it.
Who would be your dream dinner guest and why? And you can open up the table to a few people if you want. I'm
so bad at these sort of questions. So bad. I love Miley Cyrus. I think I'd love to have her at a dinner party. Who else? Yeah, Jessica Ennis. Like I loved her 15 years ago and I still 10 years ago, and I still do. So I'd love to have her as a guest. And one more person. I don't know. Should you want to come? You can come join.
Yeah, there we go. Sorted. You have to cook though. I'm an awful cook.
That's fine.
A final question before I let you go. If your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
Oh, I remember listening to this. I think it was on Nadia's podcast, and she gave me a good answer.
Pressure's on now.
Yeah, I know. I think just go with it. Like, yeah, just go with it. Like, a lot of my past experiences and stuff, like I try not to dwell on them and just go with it, and I think it's gotten me to a good place. So yeah, just go with it, I think. Brilliant. Sophie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to the dinner party whenever that happens, but very best of luck moving forward on and off the track, and thanks again for your time. No bother. Thanks, Orla. A massive thank you to Sophie for joining me on the podcast today. I thoroughly enjoyed our chat, and I hope you got something from it. I'll be sure to leave all of her social media links in the description box below, and I just want to wish her the very best of luck moving forward. If you are enjoying the podcast, I really appreciate if you could leave a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it really does help the show grow. Thanks as always for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.